Her body like the Wild Wild West.
Hey guys, so we're back with another episode of AJ TV. So today, as the title says, we're talking about the topic is know yourself. Right? We're talking about knowing yourself, like self-knowledge and self-introspection. So this is a very vague topic for me, right? First of all, before I even delve into the topic, this is my first official video, right? For the series of self-reflection I'm going to be doing, like a couple topics that I've picked out to talk about. So this is one of the topics, right? The first one is know yourself. So to me, life is very dynamic, right? There's a lot of moving parts, and then for you to come to that knowledge of self, of actualizing true self-knowledge, first of all, I just want to point out that, in my opinion, right, I don't think it's truly possible to fully know yourself, and I'm going to explain why. Right? We're all as a result, we're all flawed because of our environments and the consequences surrounding how we were brought up, right? Like our environment and our influences is what makes up part of our flaws and also some of our perfections, right? And so everyone at some point in their lives, right, and this is something that I've noticed, right? Everyone gets to that point where they're like, okay, why am I here? Like, why am I on this earth? You get to that point where you start asking existential questions, that your existential crisis, parts. And I feel like it's necessary, right? Because it's the first question to ask, to be able to find out who you really are. Do I know myself? To some extent, I'll say yes. I feel like I do to some extent. And it still goes back to the point where I said you can't truly know yourself. You can't fully know yourself. Because there's some parts of yourself that won't be revealed until certain situations. Trust me. There are certain things you'll be like, oh, I'd never do this, or okay, I'd never go there, or I'd never be in this situation. But then something would happen, and that same thing that you feel like you would never do, you find yourself doing it, or that same place you feel like you'd never be at, you find yourself being there. So I feel like in this journey of trying to know yourself, I think what's really more important is keeping yourself in the loop with yourself, right? Like doing some sort of personal audit, that okay, this is who I was before, this is who I am now, and you don't actually owe anyone any explanation as to who you are apart from yourself. Like, if you can understand yourself, it's much more better than trying to make people understand you. I feel like it's a lost cause if you try to spend the whole of your life trying to get people to know you. I feel like knowing yourself is much more rewarding and it's much more fulfilling than trying to get people to know the real you or whatever. And I also feel like isolation is a very huge factor in self-reflection or self-actualization, right? Because when you're isolated, you're only left to yourself. The only distraction is your mind, and maybe in this day and age your devices, right? But if you can put your devices away, you're only left with your mind. And then those tough questions that has been lingering and you've been distracting yourself with people, they will finally be in front of you and have no choice but to answer them. And then again, you also have to remember that your mind is not your enemy. Your mind is your friend. It's your best friend, actually. And although sometimes it might seem like, oh, I'm always self-sabotaging, or all decisions I make are always, bad. I always make the bad choices and all of that. And then you start to hate yourself, or you start to hate your mind. You'll be like, why is my mind against me? This is me speaking for myself, by the way. If you can relate to that, shout out to you. But this is just me speaking from my own experience, right? I've learned to realize that my mind is my friend, right? And I came to that realization because no one knows me better than my mind. It has been with me all through. So I mean, it has a lot more context. So he knows my fears, he knows my joys. You feel me? He knows my pleasures, he knows everything that I'm all about. And so knowing yourself means getting comfortable with how your mind works. With not feeling a certain way because your mind doesn't work the way other people's mind works. I feel like it's important for you to accept yourself. I mean, if you really look at it, right, this is one thing that I've always kind of observed. When you hear people throw around the word weird or normal, personally, I've never met any normal person. I'm not even going to hold you. I've never met someone that's normal. Facts. If you've ever met a normal person, please point them out to me. I don't know one person that is normal. Everybody is weird as shit. And weird doesn't mean bad. It just like goes to show that as much as we are on this planet, there's still significant differences. Same way there are significant, traits that are shared among us. Sorry, that's English skipped my mind for a minute. So like in the journey of knowing yourself, right, it's very, very important for you to always keep yourself in the loop. Right, okay, you're doing something, you're making a decision, you have to actually ask yourself, why am I doing this? Like, you have to actually throw that question. Yeah, so I feel like when you ask yourself questions about what you're doing, you get to advise yourself more. Like, you don't just rush into things. Like, you actually take time and query your decisions. Like, okay, this thing I'm about to do, this person I'm about to involve myself with, does it really align with myself? And for you to even know if it aligns with yourself, you have to ask yourself these questions. And then you might not feel like you get those answers, but trust me, once you ask yourself, you've thrown that question out to your mind, and your mind will search the deepest parts of you, right, and show you that answer. Do you get? Like, your mind has the answers to all your questions concerning yourself. Trust me. So I feel like we should all take it upon ourselves, for the good of our future, right, to do a lot of introspection, to really, check in with ourselves, to actually trust that we are making the best decisions for ourselves. I mean, like, nobody else is going to look out for you the way you're going to look out for yourself, right? So there's nothing stopping you from trusting your instincts, trusting your mind that is going to look out for you. So yeah, I think it's pretty much the end of the video. Like, subscribe, share, and don't forget to isolate yourself occasionally and really like check in with yourself and really like audit your mind. So see you next time, guys. Safe.